Sometimes people ask me, well, Paul, why does probate even exist or why is it necessary? Well, best answer is many, many years ago, decades, centuries ago, it was determined that when somebody died, and they had assets in their name, that it would be the government or the court's responsibility to make sure that the assets of the deceased person were managed properly and ultimately dispersed to the right people. And maybe decades ago, centuries ago, that was a fairly efficient process. But today it's grown into, for some families, something that's really stressful and difficult and expensive. So nonetheless, it is what it is. The government has determined that. And so now when somebody dies with assets in their name, the assets are frozen. Not all of the assets. There's a very, very slow trend that has been developed over the last several decades for people to set up some of their things to be able to pass outside of probate. For example, if you have IRAs or life insurance that have designated beneficiaries, that stuff passes out of probate. But essentially all of the assets in your name are frozen, and the government's going to oversee the management and distribution of those. Things like your home, other real estate that you own, stocks that you own, bonds, mutual funds, interests in closely held businesses, LLCs, partnerships, small corporations, vehicles, CDs and other bank accounts, unless there's some kind of probate avoidance mechanism on those bank accounts. So royalty interest is another one. So when somebody dies with those things in their name, they're frozen. The family has to go through the court process. It's just the way it is. Some people don't like it. Most families don't like it, but there's really no getting around it is if those assets are in your name. Now, what people do to get around it is, and this has been going on for decades as well, because it's very established in our trust law, that if assets are held or titled in the name of a trust, the trust can dictate who transfers those assets at different intervals, such as the deaths of someone and where those assets go and how they get dispersed, how they get managed. And well established in our law that things in a trust don't have to go through the probate process. So that's the way out of having to go through what is now a burdensome and cumbersome kind of probate process. So that's the deal. Not much we can do about it. It is what it is. Maybe the fact that lawyers are involved in changing the law may have something to do with how there's been a very slow or really no progression and making it simpler for people to transfer their assets to their loved ones when they die. So here's what you need to do. Two things. One, like this content, and then share this content. And I'll keep producing a lot more and letting you know how it is. I'm Paul Rabelais. Have a great day.